تقبل الله صلاتكم.
ايوه ما شاء الله. حمد الامدي نعم. ما شاء الله. تفضل.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
We have with us Sir Ibrahim, a manager of Waqf in Istanbul. Sir Ibrahim, could you introduce yourself and explain what does Waqf mean?
Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahümme salli ala seyyidina Muhammeden ve ala ali seyyidina Muhammed bi adedi zerratil kainat ve mürekkebatihe ebeden daima. Vakfın İslam hukuku.
Waqf is as stated in the Islamic law and custom. It refers to a gift or gifts that a person willingly gives for charitable use only for the sake of Allah, and he entrusts the management of such gifts to another person known as manager of endowment. As you know, Islam is a religion of mercy, so the idea of endowment is something inherent in the Muslim history. It is intended for benefiting the Muslim community. Endowment has a great importance in the Islamic law, and it occupies a great position in the Ottoman and Seljuk times. The right of endowment was able to survive for long ages in Turkey, a thing which is not easy, especially if we have in mind the different civilization and religions that preceded Islam in Turkey. The institutions of endowment here had successful activities and established themselves in Turkey. In addition, the idea of endowment extended to Europe. These institutions achieved their goals throughout the ages. As you know, Islam encourages its followers to be good, and especially when it comes to deeds, to be gentle with humans and in animals especially. All of us know the authentic saying of the Prophet, when a person dies, his righteous work ends except in 3 cases. He leaves behind a child who will pray for him. He dedicates an item of his property for ongoing charitable use, or he leaves behind knowledge that people can benefit from. When Muslims think about it, they find the right of endowment as the best way to achieve the goal mentioned in the Prophet's saying, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. So, endowment was at its peak during the Ottoman era and made great achievements. With the advent of the Turkish Republic, endowment declined and became inactive for a while, but later on it began to gain up and start returning to play its part in the society according to the Quran and the Sunnah.
What will motivate people to make endowment?
Good understanding of Islam and the Quran helps understand what endowment is intending for. As a matter of fact, man has a job to do in life. As humans, we are required to make this life more beneficial. When man looks into the Quran, he realizes that the best deeds are those that make him happy in the hereafter and people can benefit from in this life. As all know, this life is to end and all should die. Once I visited Switzerland, particularly Zurich. It is a very rich city that has more than one nuclear reactor. However, the people there are very wealthy but unhappy. You know why? It is because they have no hope in the hereafter. For them, life ends in death. But the Muslim sees the future in a different way, as he believes that there is another life after death, which he is preparing himself for.
What are things that one can make endowment of?
Vakıf müessesesi dediğimiz ciddi bir hayatın içerisinde.
Endowment institutions are many. Endowments get involved in all areas of life. Now, for example, we have educational institutions, restrooms, poultry farms, and the like. Endowment practices can be seen in Europe, where there are many institutions dedicated for charitable work in all fields. Endowments include funds and property, not to mention the efforts made by people who dedicate their lives to supporting endowment. One of these such people is Sheikh Badi al-Zaman Sa'id al-Nursi, who dedicated his life for preaching the religion of Allah and supporting the Muslim community in the way the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, taught us.
Who makes endowment?
Tabii vakfedebilmek için vakfedenin bir şey olması icap ediyor.
Of course, they are the rich people who have wealth and so can make endowment. In this regard, the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The best one of the people is the most helpful to them." In the Ottoman state, sultans, ministers, and statesmen used to make endowments in all areas. They established schools, hospitals, restrooms, Quran classes, and the like. This means endowment got involved in all areas of life. In other words, a donor would make endowment of things that he felt they would draw him closer to his Lord Allah.
In the past, endowments are confined to religious use like the memorization of the Quran or publishing religious books. Is this still the case, or are there activities which endowment gets involved in?
Şöyle meşhur bir söz var bizde bilinir.
There are other activities that endowments get involved in. Now, there is a traditional quotation that says, "The Quran was revealed in Mecca, read in Egypt, and written in Istanbul." Through the Seljuk and Ottoman times and up to now, Turks are interested in writing and publishing the Quran. So, Turks were keen to publish the Quran and distribute it in the European cities that they used to contact. So, Turks used to give a great importance to the writing, publishing, and memorization of the Quran. In the past, endowments used to be dedicated to the Quran. In the present, amounts of endowments are spent on the publishing, printing, and memorization of the Quran as well. Our institution is the first to be dedicated for the Quran after Turkey has become a republic. Our institution has been founded in 1973. There is an endowment called Khairat. Another endowment belongs to the administration of religious affairs. Our endowment is called Khidmat Endowment, and it is the first to be established in this regard. In the 1800s and the beginning of the 1900s, atheistic thinking extended to Turkey. So, it was our duty to defend the Quran and resist such ways of evil thinking. One of those who led the way in this regard was Hazrat Badi-uz-Zaman Sayyid Nursi, who wrote his 6,000-page book, Risala-i-Nur, in which he explained the Quran. This book was first written in Ottoman Turkish, then translated into about 40 languages. Amongst the other activities that Khidmat Endowment gives importance to is the transcription of the Quran. In fact, we write the Quran in different scripts. We have also famous calligraphers who made efforts in this field, like the most famous calligrapher, Hamid al-Hamadi.
My last question is, the role of the Ottoman endowment was restricted to the activity of teaching and publishing the Quran. Is this still the case, or its role extended to more other activities these days?
As I said, endowment gets involved in all fields. Our endowment institutions, for example, is all about the Quran. We publish the Quran, teach it, and provide aids to the students. Some of the students may do their masters and PhDs here also. Our institution also receives many students who come from America and Europe to learn the Quran. We hope that endowment practices spread all over the world. There are many who need to learn the Quran and reach the truth. So, we need to make the Quran accessible to every person in this world. As you know, the world suffers corruption and the Quran has a great role to stop this corruption. We hope that we can do a common project for the sake of humanity.